Hello everyone, welcome to this video on Rahu Ketu axis. Rahu Ketu are known as shadowy planets in Vedic astrology. In astronomical terms, Rahu and Ketu correspond to the points of intersection of moon and sun's orbits. In fact, Rahu and Ketu are behind eclipses, both solar as well as lunar eclipse that happen in the world, right? I'm sharing this information for the benefit of people from the Western world and especially Western astrologers for whom this concept of Rahu and Ketu do not exist. Rahu and Ketu occupies a very important place in Vedic astrology. They don't own any houses. They behave like the lords of the houses on which they are posited. Okay. By and large, Rahu behaves like Saturn and Ketu behaves like Mars, in a horoscope. So this is as far as Rahu and Ketu is concerned, right? Now let's understand this Rahu Ketu axis and see what we can infer out of this concept. If you see this horoscope, all the planets are within Rahu and Ketu, right? If I draw an imaginary line from Ketu to Rahu or Rahu to Ketu, I can clearly see that all the planets are within that imaginary line. Okay. In fact, all the planets being within Rahu and Ketu is known as Kala Sarpa Yoga or the curse of snakes in Vedic astrology, in traditional Vedic astrology. The concept I'm going to use is based on the principles of Bhrigu Nandi Nadi astrology. In fact, it's a branch of Vedic astrology. Okay. As per that Bhrigu Nandi Nadi astrology concepts, if a planet were to be outside this axis, right, that particular planet, right, the human relationship signified by the characteristics of that planet will not be in a close relationship with that particular native. Let's assume this is the horoscope of some individual. Moon is outside this imaginary axis. What is the human relationship signified by moon? It is mother. So we can infer that the native and the native's mother will be distant in a relationship. It can be due to any reason. We have to ascertain the fourth house, right? Lagna Lord and other aspects before determining the reason for a distant relationship between mother and son, right? We can also infer that mother towards the later part of her life, especially towards the end part of her life, she is going to be detached and somewhat alone, okay? And she is not going to be closer to the native or the native's family. That is something we can infer out of this arrangement, right? So any planet outside, if more planets are outside, let's say 4 planets are outside, this concept itself doesn't arise. Okay, this concept arises when 1 or maximum of 2 planets are outside this axis. If 3, 4, 5, then equal number of planets, then this concept doesn't really apply. This concept applies only when 1 or maximum 2 planets are outside this imaginary line or outside this Rahu and Ketu, right? Suppose, for example, if there is sun, if sun is outside this Rahu Ketu line or Rahu Ketu axis, what can you infer? The native's father will not be in a close relationship with the native, right? And the native's father will spend the later part of his life, especially the last part of his life, somewhat in a lonely manner. I know today many people spend their last part of their lives in a lonely fashion, right? But it's going to be accentuated, okay? It's going to be more in the cases involving this kind of astrological alignment, okay? You can clearly say that, this person's father, you know, uh, life is going to be a lot lonely towards the end and towards the later part of his life, right? What if the planet is Mars, in a female's horoscope? Let's assume there's a female's horoscope. Mars signifies husband in a female's horoscope. If Mars is outside, the husband and wife are not going to be in a close relationship, right? The separation or the distance in relationship could be due to many factors. Maybe the husband is working in a different city, right? And due to family reasons or personal reasons, the wife is staying in another city, right? That is also a reason, right? Or the separation could be due to marital discord, right? They are on their way of getting separated. So the reasons can be many. We have to analyze the entire horoscope for that. But just by looking at a horoscope, right, if any planet, one or two planets maximum, is outside this Rahu Ketu line, we can clearly say that the relationship signified by that particular planet, right, is going to be distant in relationship with that particular native. Okay, it's not going to be a close relationship, and especially towards the later and end part of that of that person, in this case father, in this case father, right? Towards the later part and end part of the father's life, the father is going to spend his time in loneliness. The father is not going to be in a close relationship with the native or the native's family. This is something that we can clearly see. And if you have let's say Jupiter, right, or let's say you have Venus, the corresponding human relationship is going to be distant, right? We can clearly make this out. So using this Rahu Ketu axis, we can tell about the human relationship, right? That particular human relationship which is not going to be closer to the native, okay? The close and the distance in relationship will start from the beginning, okay? And as days go by, as years go by, the distance will only increase, right? So that's what I wanted to cover in this session. There's a very interesting concept, just by looking at the horoscope and by drawing an imaginary line, we can draw out this particular inference fairly quickly. Okay, thank you, and I will see you in another video.